Let's speak about oppression and dark magic, right? I would really like to call it witchcraft because that's what it is, but I'm being guided to call it dark arts, right? And so let's talk about oppression and the dark arts, right? And so I speak on energy, and I speak about how our vibration, when we're at a lower vibration, at a lower frequency, we are susceptible to being used by dark entities, right? By dark spirits, and we're susceptible for our free will to be manipulated, which is manipulated through our energy, right? And so this is not about somebody with a pod casting spells, although that happens, right? It's much simpler than we think. All we have to do is be vibrating at its frequency, right? So for example, I'll give you the example of gossip, right? When we vibrate at the frequency of gossip, we're vibrating at the frequency of gossip, right? So these people will create, and I was speaking about this yesterday. They'll create a scenario for the gossip and the slander to go around, right? And so what they'll do behind the scenes is that they'll lower your vibration, right? They'll create circumstances which could even be with the gossip and the slandering, where the scenario would be where people are looking at you weird, or they're looking at you different, or they don't even want to engage with you, right? And this could be people that know you or people that don't know you, right? And so what that does is that automatically affects you. It lowers your vibration, right? And so then what happens there is that maybe you don't know what's going on, right? Maybe you don't know why people are acting weird, right? But the person, the mastermind, is creating like a recipe, right? So you know how in the movies it shows, like, they have the book of the recipe, and they'll say this and they'll put this in the thing. It's the same way, except that they're using our energy to get it done, right? So they'll have the gossip and the slandering going on, right? The smear campaigns going on, right? And so then they're creating also situations in your life where they already know what to poke you with, because they know who you are, they know what affects you, they know how to attack you, so that you can give them access through your wounds, right? And so what this does is that this keeps you oppressed, right? And so in the background, at a different level, at a higher level, right? Now they are going to cast the spells, right? So again, when we speak, we're casting spells, right? Because the power in our tongue, it's a form of manifestation. It's a form of, when we have, what is this called? Affirmations, right? And, we reset our mindset, where instead of like saying, like, what is wrong with me? We start looking at things like, you're beautiful, you're great, and then we believe it, right? So same thing with the words that we speak, right? They'll cast spells, or they'll do a higher level of magic, where they'll be able to summon an entity, right? And then send that entity towards you. And I was speaking about this yesterday, right? But now that your vibration is low and the commotion has been set with the slander and the smear campaigns and the false narratives, right? Now this entity goes towards you, right? And now this entity is able to attach itself to you, right? And so now what is this entity, right? And so it'll be a manifestation of what? Depression, anxiety, any of these things that we see in, let's say, in mental health, or even it could be a manifestation of something of, like, let's say, God forbid, a car wreck, or you being evicted. It's like a projection of something that is meant to happen, right? But because they've lowered your vibration, right, to a certain level, and because they've gotten people to collaborate with them, right, and now they're conjuring things up and sending it your way, right? And so when it comes to things being conjured, right, depending on the level of magic, right? For example, if people are trying to get someone to commit an unaliving of themselves, there are protocols for that. There are things that they have to go through. There are things that they have to sacrifice. That's why there are human and animal sacrifices, because depending of the level of the entity that's being sent the way, or whatever it is that they want done, it depends what they have to do for that to happen, right? So they have to sacrifice things, do blood sacrifices, right? And so that's why there's a lot of, my nose is itching. That's usually confirmation. That's why there's so many kidnappings, right? So many deaths that are through the cause of dark magic, right? That they could even look like, it's just a heart attack, or it's just, my nose is itching, I'm sorry, or it's just somebody just lost their mind because, well, usually when they need a blood sacrifice, it has to be blood, right? Or I'm not sure about that one. I'm not sure if, like, when they want people to go crazy, that could also be considered as a blood sacrifice, because they are taking your soul in a sense. But that's not the point. The point being is that, you know, a way to keep us oppressed, a way to keep us silenced, a way to keep the narrative of someone's character, it's by creating false narratives, manipulating others people's perception of the individuals or the individual, right? And then behind the scenes, they are also pulling the strings as a puppet master, because they're master, not just master manipulators, but master wizards, right? And so it's important that we become aware of these things, because a lot of the things that we note to be just regular, or like, that's just a little gossip, that's just a little slander. When you see someone creating false narratives for all their life about a certain individual, or about certain individuals, that's their common, like that's what they go to, like, to create false narratives to get people to join on the train wagon about defaming someone's character. This is also a high level witchcraft. It's high level, ancient dark arts. And so, as a person that's experienced it, right? As a person who's survived it, I myself don't do slandering anyone's character or defaming anyone's character, because I know firsthand how that feels. But I wanted to bring it out because this is also a form of keeping us oppressed and not awakening to the power that we have within, to our self mastery. Because when we're repressed and it's like you're following the script that was given to you without realizing that you're following a script, because your demeanor is being controlled, your will is being controlled, your decision making is being controlled, your intuition is being controlled. Because usually the master manipulator will infect the people near you, so these people will automatically have a mask and you won't realize that they have a mask. And so it's hard for us to realize what's happening when we're in it, which is why it's so important that we heal and we forgive, because the only way that this works is when we're operating at that low frequency, at that low vibration. And when we're in it, we usually don't know that we're in it, or if we do, we don't see anything wrong with it. But it's not about seeing something wrong with it, it's about the control we're giving, like the power we're giving other people over our vessels. Okay.